it's Miss Storey again. Just been on a bike ride, and I've got something here in the basket that I want to read you. It's another one of my favourite books called Mrs Armitage on Wheels, and it's by Quentin Blake. Mrs Armitage was out on her bicycle, just like me. Breakspear the dog ran alongside. A hedgehog walked across the road. Tring, tring, went Mrs Armitage on the bell. What this bike needs, said Mrs Armitage to herself, is a really loud horn. Mrs Armitage bought 3 horns. They were all very loud. Beep, beep, honk, honk, paroo, went Mrs Armitage on her horns. Then the chain came off. By the time Mrs Armitage had got it on again, her hands were black and greasy. What this bike needs, said Mrs Armitage to herself, is somewhere to wash your hands. So she got a bucket of water and a towel and a soap rack with a bar of soap, and she hung them all onto the bike, and off she went with her beautifully clean hands. There she is. What this bike needs, said Mrs Armitage to herself as she cycled along, if it's to be looked after properly, is a complete toolkit. So she got a toolbox with spanners and screwdrivers and hammers and cans of penetrating oil, and she fixed it onto the back of the bicycle, and off she went. By now, Mrs Armitage was beginning to think to herself, what this bike needs, said Mrs Armitage to herself, is somewhere to carry a light snack. So she got a tray for apples and bananas and cheese and tomato sandwiches, and a holder for a bottle of lemonade and a flask of cocoa, and a special basket for Burns and dog biscuits for Breakspear, and she fixed them all to the bike, and off she went. But by now, poor Breakspear was feeling quite tired. Running along beside the bicycle, you could tell because his tongue was hanging out and he was panting. What this bike needs, said Mrs Armitage to herself, is something for a faithful dog to ride on. So she got some iron brackets and some nuts and bolts and some cushions, and she made a seat for Breakspear, and off they went. They had stopped beside the road for some sandwiches and dog biscuits when it began to rain. Great heavens, said Mrs Armitage. What this bike needs, Breakspear, is something to keep the rain off. So she got 2 umbrellas, 1 large, 1 small, and she fixed them onto the bicycle, and off they went. Riding through the rain, Mrs Armitage began to feel rather downhearted. What this bike needs, said Mrs Armitage to herself, is a bit of cheerful music. So she got a transistor radio, a cassette player, and a lot of cassettes and cheerful music, and a mouth organ so she could join in, and she fixed them all to the bike, and off she went. Mrs Armitage was turning the pedals so fast and blowing the mouth organ so hard that soon she was nearly exhausted. Whew. What this bike needs, said Mrs Armitage, is a bit of extra oomph. And so she got some wood and some ropes and some tarpaulin. She rigged them up to the mast and a sail. No, she rigged up a mast, and a sail, and she added a few yards of bunting and an anchor into the bargain. And off they went with the wind. Hang on. with the wind behind them. Faster and faster and faster until... crash, crunch, clang, clatter, thud. Horror! Oh dear, what's happened? Oh, what this bike needs, Breakspear, said Mrs Armitage as she picked herself up from the wreckage, is taken to the dump. Now she's thinking, and what I need is... whoopee! She's got something new now. What are these? Here, look. But what these roller skates need, said Mrs Armitage to herself. What these roller skates need. There we are. That's my favourite book. Absolutely love it. Hope you enjoyed it too. Missing you all. Bye for now.